Hello, and welcome back to Therapist Plays Slay the Princess. All right, it's time. It's time to go to the route that people have been recommending basically since the beginning of this series. It's time that we revisit the Damsel, and this time, instead of just leaving the cabin, we're gonna ask her what she would want to do. This episode took me in so many unexpected directions and pulled on so many different heartstrings. And I'm really curious to hear all of your perspective on this route, because I think it's really one of the more complex ones that we've seen so far. And brings up a lot of really interesting discussion about the difficulty with being vulnerable with your desires and how to express them, and why that can really complicate our intimate relationships sometimes. And in addition to that, this is also like the last chapter in a series of 5. So we also go through another ending, and that took some unexpected turns as well. So with all that said, I hope you enjoy this very long episode of Therapist Plays Slay the Princess. Hello, and welcome back. All right, it's time. It's time for, not only the final run in this playthrough of Therapist Plays Slay the Princess, but it's time to go through the route that you've all been requesting, basically since the beginning, which is to stay with the princess. So because this has been recommended so many times, I know what direction we're going in, so I am gonna kind of go quickly through like the beginning part of this. And I sort of understand what the thematic angle is of this route just by like people recommending it and saying, hey, you should ask the princess what she wants and that sort of thing. I don't know the actual story content, and I don't know how it will play out emotionally. But I can sort of detect, based on those recommendations, that probably one of the things we're going to be talking quite a bit about is desire. Because this is like a really kind of nuanced thing in human psychology, right? How we communicate desire to people, and depending on what kind of relationship we have with them, that's gonna change, right? The way you communicate a desire to someone who is an authority figure to you, the way that you communicate desire from a position of authority, the way that you communicate desire intimately to someone that you love, or who loves you. How you communicate desire when you need something, right? Like just a favor from a friend, from a stranger. How you communicate desire under pressure, under stress, right? Like this is a very dynamic situation that we often find ourselves in, is that part of communicating to other people and expressing how you feel about things and moving forward in a situation or in a relationship, a lot of it comes down to how is this delivered and how does the other person receive it. So it can get very tricky when we do not communicate our desires clearly or effectively, right? I've talked in this playthrough a lot about like where breakdowns occur in different kinds of relationships. And a lot of times, those breakdowns, especially in intimate relationships, center around this right here, right? Which is a difficulty expressing desire and having the other person really understand that. Like, what do you really want in this relationship or in this situation? And is what you're asking for, like, one, relatable to the other person, and can they even provide it? And is there an equal sort of like sharing of what I desire and what this person desires? Like, it's just so central to everything. And it's actually central to this game's storyline too, right? Like basically every character, narrator, princess, Birdman, we all have our own agenda here, right? And depending on the paths we choose, we are exploring, first of all, what is it that we desire? Do we desire deeper understanding of our role in this world? Do we desire more freedom of choice and agency? Is what we desire a deeper relationship or connection to the people that we interact with, the narrator and the princess, or just the situation that we're in? Do we desire change? Do we desire comfort in not changing, right? Do we desire what the narrator desires. Part of what's central to this is if I communicate that I want something from you, I have to make it appeal in a way that it's also something that you want, right? So the narrator will use all those tactics because he wants things too. He wants his world not to end. He wants us to kill the princess. He wants us to take the blade. I want to take the blade. Okay? Sometimes you can't have what you want and get something else that you want. Right now, what I want, what I desire, is to explore a different path with the princess. And that means suspending my wants. It's something that I have to sort of take from the need to a want. I don't need the blade. I've taken it enough times. I know where that goes. I want to try something different. Okay. But the narrator, he uses tactics to make us appeal to what he wants, right? You're just as invested in this world as I am, aren't you? Aren't you also in danger here? She's dangerous. You'll need the blade to defend yourself, right? He uses a lot of fear-based tactics. The princess, depending on our actions, also communicates desire very dynamically, right? Last time, she desired us to fight her endlessly. And then she desired to destroy us. Sometimes she desires closeness and care. Sometimes she desires understanding, in the case of the princess and the dragon. Sometimes that desire for understanding is more inviting and open, like in that case, and sometimes it's more enforced, like with the wraith. I want you to feel how I felt, right? Which was powerless. Similar with the fury, right? Like, this is so central to this game's thesis on like how central this is to relationships, communications, and like shared human experience, right? Can we communicate what we want to other people? Can we have them understand it? And can we find something in the middle between what you want and what I want? And for everyone to go home happy. That's what we're gonna find out. And that's what I gather just based on my reflection upon this game and what I anticipate this route to Central around. And I will teach you how to navigate that, because it is not easy, as I have just illustrated in this opening monologue. But there are some very simple things, very simple ways to change this in a very effective way, okay? But if you've been watching this show for a while, you know that I like to illustrate the problem before I give you the solution. So that's what we're going to do. We're gonna continue the cabin. We've seen a lot of this before. I'm gonna go very quickly through this part so that my desire stays true.
The interior of the cabin is almost entirely bare.
I'm not even gonna look at the blade. I'm not even gonna glance at it on my way down.
The door to the basement creaks open, revealing a staircase faintly illuminated by an unseen light.
Yes, we know all that. Yeah. This time, we're trying to develop a very open relationship with the princess, right? I'm not here to antagonize. I know a little bit about what we can expect. I just want to say hello to her. Hello!
Don't be a stranger. It's been so long since I've had any visitors. Please, come downstairs.
And you can see already there's some desire communication here. Don't be a stranger, right? Desire is not always communicated in I want statements, right? But they can be translated to I want statements. And that's the kind of, that's part of the work, really, is we develop all these like sort of vague ways of saying what we want to people, especially those who we are like actually closer with. There's usually a hesitation around like, am I gonna drive this person away if I say what I want? Can they give me what I want to begin with, right? She's not saying it here, but don't be a stranger is basically saying like, I want to trust you, right? I want there to be familiarity in this conversation. Not said so specifically. It's so long since I've had any visitors. I don't want to be alone, right? Please come downstairs. I don't want to be alone. Like, desire is in almost everything she's saying here. But you can even hear in her voice there's a hesitation to say it so clearly.
You walk down the stairs and lock eyes with the princess. There's a heavy chain around her wrist, binding her to the far wall of the basement.
Now, one thing to recognize, the difference between the narrator and the princess, especially this princess. And the reason why, like, I think a lot of people have a kind of a negative reaction to the narrator, I at least did, is because the way he communicates his desire, well, one, it's very fear-based, right? If you don't do this, this will happen. You should want this because if not, something bad will happen or she'll attack you or whatever, right? And fear is a very short-term motivator, right? It's very effective for getting someone to take action, right? If you don't stop doing that, I'm gonna hit you. Well, you will get that person to stop doing that, most likely, by threatening them, okay? By using fear. But the second the source of the fear is gone, when you leave the room, the behavior tends to continue because, like, fear only motivates in the short term, right? It doesn't lead to lasting change. Corporal punishment, physical punishment, they get quick results. You know, if you don't change your life, you're going to get sick and die, right? It's just said a lot of times to people who are struggling with addiction, and that's going to get them into the process of recovery, maybe, like by scaring them. But we just don't see that being a lasting, like, you can't stay in a fear state at all times for the rest of your life and that be the foundation of what motivates you to do all these other important things to recover from addiction, like develop new communication skills, to have more lasting relationships and a deeper support network, right? To have a broader emotional range and, like, be patient and understanding with yourself. Like, those are not fear-based processes psychologically. So you can't run on that forever. You can get someone started, but if you really want to motivate someone for long term, at least in my opinion, motivation has to be much more value-based, right? It has to be based on values that are identified and cultivated over time. So, for example, if you don't stop smoking, you're going to get sick. You're going to have health problems. Usually, that gets people to cut back or stop intermittently, but again, not very effective for, like, long-term intervention, because as soon as those negative physical symptoms are not immediately present, we tend to return to the behavior. As an aside, that's because we have a certain kind of psychological distance from our problems, right? Where our concern for problems tends to be pretty low when they're pretty far away. But when those problems get closer to us, our concern tends to rise, right? When you hear about a tragedy that happens halfway around the world, like, you may be concerned about it, but the same terrible thing happening in your backyard tends to elevate our concern about it, right? It tends to activate more anxiety. When you start having health problems from your habits is when the concern actually rises enough to create action, right? When the problem gets very close, when that psychological distance closes. Well, maybe you do something about it, and then the symptoms kind of go back to where they were, but then our concern can go back down, right? And we just kind of end up in this, like, double helix sort of process of never really fully committing to a change because we were never, like, addressing the problem because we wanted to be proactive about it. We were responding to it becoming a heightened stressor, situationally. And this is kind of what the narrator does. Like, he is trying to keep us in a fear-based mindset. The problem is immediate all the time. If you don't end her life right now, she's gonna end the world, right? You need the blade. Like, he's constantly trying to create a tighter window between you and the problem. And all propaganda works like this too, right? Like, all media propaganda, all political propaganda, they want you to feel like problems are happening around you. Crime is up in your community all the time. Be afraid, right? Concern goes up. We do all kinds of stuff to compensate, essentially. It works for a while, but it doesn't change people's lives, really. When people start developing values around what motivates them, no longer am I quitting smoking because there are health consequences and I don't want those consequences. I'm not changing behavior in order to avoid those consequences. I may be changing behavior because I become attached to positive benefits. I realize that I can breathe more easily. I have more money in my pocket because I'm not spending it on cigarettes, right? I'm not putting people off with the smell or all kinds of things, right? Like, we develop values around being seen a certain way, feeling a certain way, being presentable to a certain degree, or having access to other things with more of those finances. Like, those become a lot better for long-term motivation than the kind of short-term fear-based stuff that creates like even worse habits. If I don't restrict my diet, I'm going to get fat and no one will like me. And so we can develop like disorderly eating, right? Social anxiety, similar kind of thing. Like, we're constantly afraid of being exposed or judged or whatever. And so like the short-term fear of that gets us to like not interact or not go so many places, right? But it doesn't create like long-term sustainable, healthy coping with that stress. It just creates this responsiveness where we're always in this tight window between the problem and ourselves, right? So that's why I think the narrator's tactics are very shady, very effective. We know they're effective because they work in marketing and propaganda and from abusive people, right? If you don't do everything I say, I'm gonna leave you and you'll be alone, right? It's how like toxic relationships tend to look a lot of the times. And the problem with this, the way the narrator does it also, is it feels very transactional. Meaning it's very like, there's no relationship being developed. It's like, you have to do this because you want it and I want it and everybody should have it. Like, the world's gonna end. Fuck you. The princess, at least this one, does not seem to really want anything in exchange for our time, patience, or kindness, right? It's not like, if you are kind to me, I won't kill you. There's just a general sense of gratitude that the narrator doesn't really express.
She's beautiful. How could someone like this be a threat to anyone?
Good question.
I am begging you to stay focused. There's a lot riding on you here.
Yes.
Hi. Do you think you can get me out of these chains?
Okay, so there is one thing that she wants in exchange. She wants us to get her out, right? At the same time, like, that is something we also want. We came in with the desire to free her. So she's not having to convince us of anything transactional in this sense. I can't remember if we, like, I think we can't hesitate here. So we just try to get her out, to get to the Smitten and the one we're trying to get to. So I'm just going to see what I can do.
You're only making this more difficult.
Thank you. Thank you.
Look at that! Gratitude.
You're making a huge mistake.
It's negative, so negative. Fear-based. Fear-based motivator.
No, you're doing the right thing.
And it's confusing. It is confusing. He's trying to close that psychological distance so that our stress is elevated.
You walk up to the chains binding the princess to the wall and give them a tug. They're large and heavy, far too solid for you to even imagine trying to break them apart.
I don't know. I've seen the big bird guy. I feel like he could rip those chains off.
I'm guessing you don't have the key?
Nope.
Maybe it's somewhere upstairs.
I know there's something upstairs that could help. Could go get the pristine blade. I could go get the pristine blade and we could have this sorted out in seconds.
Doubtful. They locked the princess away down here, intended for her to never see the light of day. They wouldn't have just left the key to her chains somewhere in the cabin.
Oh, but they would have just left a pristine blade sitting there. I'm gonna check upstairs. Maybe the key's still lying around somewhere up there. If not, maybe I can at least find you something to break free.
Okay. I'll be here. Good luck.
Thank you for being patient.
Attempt to make your way out of the basement, but the door at the top of the stairs slams shut. You hear the click of a lock sliding into place.
Imagine that.
Is someone else here?
Let's try the door.
You try the door, but it's locked from the outside.
Let's struggle.
Your shouts and pleas are met with silence.
Shit.
You're here to slay the princess, and you won't leave until the task is done.
Again, trying to create urgency around a problem is part of what creates that very fear-based. If you don't do this, something bad is going to happen right now. I'm going to take something away that you care about. I'm going to hit you. You can't leave until this is done, right? This is used effectively but inefficiently in all over the place. If you have a boss who tells you stuff like you can't leave until your work is done, right? I'm going to take away something that you care about, your precious free time, or your credibility, or whatever. People are constantly trying to manipulate based on your own desires, using fear-based tactics. And yeah, you will probably get me to finish my work before I go home, but guess what I'm not gonna do when I go? I'm not gonna have like strong values attached to coming back or doing more than I'm asked, right? Like, again, you get good results, but you don't establish good relationships this way. And it doesn't make for good parenting either.
You make your way to the bottom of the stairs. This would have been so much easier if you'd just taken the blade like you were supposed to.
That is a straight up lie. Just because I've taken the blade so many times, that does not make it easy, okay? In fact, it has vastly complicated things by taking the blade.
Easier for whom?
Not for me.
Easier for everyone. Look at the mess you're in.
Kind of been in a mess this whole time, friend.
I heard the door slam. They locked you down here too, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
There's a slight panic rising in the princess's voice.
If I could just get out of these chains, I know we could force our way out of here together.
All right, what's your plan? I actually kind of forget what she does here.
She
Oh, shit!
raising her arm to her mouth, teeth tearing through her limb with the determination of a trapped wolf.
Yeah, I forgot about this part.
As she rips her flesh from her bone, a sound comes from behind you, the clang of bouncing metal.
The sound of what?
It's the blade from upstairs. We're not sure how it made its way down here, but if there's a time to strike, it's now.
No! Don't do it!
Or we could use it to free her.
That's right. That's right. Don't give in to the manipulation tactic.
You won't like what happens if you do that.
I feel like I'm not gonna like basically anything that happens. I save the princess.
Fine. Against your better judgment, you place the blade against the ragged, self-inflicted wound on the princess's arm, just above the unyielding chain binding her to this place. You cut into her flesh. The blade is sharp, and it takes little effort to crack through the bone of her arm.
Could a pristine blade really cut through bone easier than, like, rusted metal?
Her limb falls to the ground, and the heavy chains follow suit. She didn't so much as utter a sound through the whole ordeal. No.
It's pretty metal.
She smiles softly as her gaze meets yours, blood from her wounded arm dripping rhythmically to the ground. How is she still smiling after everything? It's like she isn't even bothered by what just happened.
Because we did something for her, out of the kindness of our heart.
Thank you. Now let's get out of here.
Yes, let's. Approach the door.
No, we won't have any of that. The stakes are too high. You can't just let her escape into the world. No, I can't just let her escape into the world.
Here's the really interesting part about everything that I talked about before, too. When you look at someone who tends to use this very fear-based motivation tactic, you tend to see that this is not just how they motivate other people, it's also how they motivate themselves. Because you have to motivate yourself to do a lot of things, too. I have to motivate myself to go to work, to create these videos, right? To spend time refining my skills, to improve my social relationships, to exercise, to eat properly, to do all this shit, right? We have to come up with the motivation from somewhere. And when you tend to motivate other people this way, you find that those people tend to use these same tactics for their own internal sources of motivation, right? Which really negatively affects their self-perception. They do develop things like we're seeing with the narrator. Like, he can't deal with being in a situation he can't control, so he'll try to control it. Even if we know there are negative consequences, because we think that, oh, well, I see short-term results happen when I use this on other people. That's how I can quickly get results in my own life, right? If I restrict my diet, I will lose more weight. If I put more pressure on people, they do what I want. So if I put more pressure on myself, I'll be more productive. But it like really negatively affects our self-esteem because again, it doesn't create like long-term positive values about yourself and your self-worth. You often end up developing like weird ideas like that you're not good enough at anything, or you become like a toxic perfectionist, or all kinds of stuff that you're not developing healthy values in your self-image, and you're not really that patient with yourself because it's all this. It's all, how do I get myself to be where I want to be right away?
As the princess approaches the bottom stair, your body steps forward and raises the blade.
And they tend to have a lot more trouble with acceptance then, right? If you're someone who is doing this, and I know you're out there, we all do it at times. I hope this episode teaches you a little bit of a different approach to how to motivate yourself and other people, and how to understand why people around you act the way that they do. Because yeah, I want you to be able to do the things that you want to be able to do and not also develop a negative relationship with yourself in the process. Something that doesn't like negatively impact your physical or mental health, which we often think is worth trading for higher productivity, a better physical shape, more money, or whatever it is. So all the things that we start to compromise in service of not so much values that we have, but fear of losing things, or fear of missing out on things. There's another way. There's another way.
Wait, this isn't fair. You can't just do that. Watch me.
What are you doing?
I'm not doing anything. Warn her.
Stop that.
Nope.
Something's come over you, hasn't it? You know you don't have to do this, right?
Yes.
Your body lunges forward, the blade held low, ready to sink into her heart.
This is the worst part of the game. Forced to wield the pristine blade against our will.
But the princess dodges, stumbling back against the wall before the blade has a chance to connect.
It's an agile princess.
Stop it. Stop trying to resist me. I'm trying to get you out of here alive.
You see, and that's where it comes from, like that urgency. He feels it himself, and he just thinks that if I make the problem immediate to you, you'll see how urgent this is. Stop trying to resist me. Stop complaining, stop shouting, stop being this way or that way. Like, this is the place that we take ourselves and other people to when we're frustrated because we don't know how to fucking motivate ourselves or other people properly. I'm not doing it.
The blade. Move the blade.
No.
As your body remains frozen in stubborn resistance, the princess takes a cautious step forward.
Take it from me, princess.
We both know this isn't you.
Do it.
She nervously reaches towards you and takes the blade from your infuriatingly rigid hands. What are you doing?
I am letting her win.
I'm sorry. I'll try to be quick.
She plunges it into your chest, tearing through flesh and sinew. It is agony. But you aren't dead yet.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
Oh, princess.
Stay strong. We can tough it out until it's done. For her sake.
This right here is like the beginning of the Smitten. I'll do anything for her.
For her sake? Don't you start pretending that dying a painful death is some sort of heroic gesture. The two of you have literally doomed everyone.
It's kind of heroic, actually.
Whatever. She sinks the blade into your chest again and again and again, and you feel every inch of burning pain that slices its way into your body.
It's worth it.
I'm sorry.
Oh my god. Yeah, she's really going at it.
She doesn't know how to use a knife, does she?
I love this little observation here.
Apparently not, though it doesn't matter how sloppy her blade work is, does it? A stab wound is still a stab wound, and it won't be long before you bleed out.
She's not as practiced with with precision with the pristine blade as I am.
I'm so sorry.
With one last thrust of the knife, your legs give out beneath you. You collapse to the floor, your blood pooling around you, your limbs unresponsive. The princess stares down at your ruined chest as tears carve rivulets of pink down her blood-spattered cheeks.
Oh, poor thing.
It can't just end like this, right? Oh, that's rich coming from you. As much as I'd prefer for things to have gone differently, I can't deny the reality of what's happened. The two of you made your choice. It's over. Everything goes dark, and you die.
Oh. Hooray! All right. It's time.
On a path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin. And in the basement of that cabin is a princess.
Okay, this is where we'll have a bit of a departure from what we've seen before.
You're here to slay her. If you don't, it will be the end of the world.
Kind of miss my boy, the Smitten. I think he's only appeared in last time we were here so far. Okay. We'll just proceed. We've seen some of this before.
A warning, before you go any further. She will lie. She will... If only you knew what you did to us, you villain. Excuse me? Forget he said anything. But he is a villain. He made our beloved brutally take our life last time. Trying to keep us apart, but he won't be able to withstand the power of our love.
Yes. The reality-bending distortion of love is one of the most powerful things the Smitten possesses.
Last time? What are you talking about? I think he just likes to hear the sound of his own voice. Let's try to ignore him. I do, but I also speak from the heart. My passions are too great to be stifled. They must be expressed.
All right.
Sure, your passions are strong and all, but not everyone needs to hear them. Some things are better kept quiet. Don't pay their bickering any mind. Focus on the task ahead.
Okay, let's proceed.
The interior of the cabin is
Okay, I'm gonna just advance through some of this though, because we have seen it. Okay, this is where I wanted to get to, where we can have another chat with the damsel here. I'm sorry about what happened last time. The narrator who sent me here to kill you took over my body. It was extremely unfair. So now we're also going to see how the Smitten, like, he kind of lays on the desire a little too thick. Kind of a contradiction. In one way, he says, I will do anything for the princess, for her sake. But his desire isn't necessarily what the princess wants. It's like what he thinks the princess wants. Which is also somewhat where the communication tends to break down in relationships. Otherwise, we wouldn't have this very common phrase of, I thought that this is what you wanted. When did I ever say that? Right? You do hear this. Okay, let's go with this.
If another version of me was pushed to such drastic action, it was for good reason.
That's okay. You were just doing your best, and that's all that matters.
And we find the princess also very, like, wanting what we want, right? But is there something we're missing here? Like, the Smitten wants the princess. He thinks she wants to be free. We saw that last time. We assume that because of the context of the situation. She's locked up. She's said that she wants to get out. Let's get her out, right? We never asked her what she wanted to do before, which is why we're returning to it this time. And she also, because she's partial to us, assumes we want that too, and we make compromises for people we care about, right? But in a sense, it's like, well, if the Smitten wants her to be happy, he may be leading her away from that by assuming she wants something else. And maybe suffocating what she wants in service of making us happy. And so we both end up like doing something we think is for the other person and is neither of what us want, right? And this does happen in relationships a lot as well. Part of that is because we tend to protect our emotions from people, but most especially the people that we care a lot about. Why would we do that? Why would I protect emotions? It sounds like kind of paradoxical, but it does make sense in a way. In a situation like this, the princess probably feels lots of things. She probably feels lonely. She probably feels afraid. She probably feels lost, right? Maybe a bit confused. She probably feels sad, right? Because of all of those things. And yet, we just see a smile. We see a very pleasant demeanor, right? Which is kind of covering up a lot of those things. Because, like, I care about you. I don't want, someone I care about to think that they're the cause of any of these things. So I'm going to protect them. I'll protect them from, these are my issues to bear, right? The problem with that is, like, when I see this, it is confusing. It can be confusing because I may not think that there needs to be anything addressed beyond this if what I'm seeing is that she's generally happy, right? You start to see this a lot in relationships that are starting to have little breakdowns, and people start saying, I'm surprised. I thought that she was happy, right? Or I thought that he was happy with me. Well, because part of that is we never really communicated what we really desire, right? If you're showing a smile, but there's a lot of turmoil behind that, what am I supposed to think that you want? Do we want deeper companionship? Do we want more security? Do we want a more clear direction in the relationship? Do we want more clear understanding of each other's desires? And do we want more novelty and sources of joy? That's a lot of very fair things to want in a relationship, right? But if I'm so avoidant of conflict because I don't want to either upset you or make you think that you're the cause of any of the things that I lack, that I desire, or that you've done something to cause any of these issues, and I don't want you to worry that I'm going to look elsewhere for them, then I may show you this to protect you from them. But in doing so, one, we either remove the person from the conversation about what we want and lead to confusion and maybe even eventually resentment that you have to protect these things. Or it also asks this person to like read your mind, right? And intuit that these things are there. This person also may be protecting certain things, right? They may be protecting their own fears about like, am I enough for this person? I see her smiling all the time, but is this really what she wants? A lot of times you find that people are upset about things, maybe issues from the past that haven't been dealt with. And, things are relatively good, and so they don't find a lot of opportunities to bring them up. And I don't want to risk driving you away, so I protect you from this thing that I'm actually angry about. But if you don't address it, it tends to come out at smaller points of friction in the relationship, and then this gets thrown in with them, right? Because anger is kind of a compounding emotion. It tends to attach to lots of things and combine them together. It combines all our fear and frustration and loneliness and exhaustion and just gets expressed in this sort of like outburst. But if it were communicated more early that there are some nuanced pieces to that, then we may not have to protect this person from what we're upset about, right? There has to be sort of an invitation to listen to one another without fear of judgment about, if I were to show you these things, what would you think, right? And just because I have something that I'm upset about doesn't mean that I want things to end here, right? There's so much fear around like opening up some of those issues and wounds because maybe we have an insecurity that it will collapse the relationship if we let it out. And so we both just try to be agreeable to one another and put on this face of, I love you, I'll do anything for you, and everything you do is good enough for me, right? That's what we're getting from her and also what we're giving to her. But I feel like in a lot of ways, these two people kind of miss each other along the way.
She took that in stride, to a surprising extent. An almost unsettling extent, actually. That's because she's perfect.
We've been down that road.
Do you think she has someone like him telling her what to do? She doesn't. There's no one else like me. I think he's right, because I like it better if she doesn't have some horrid little voice like him, always trying to drive her to violence.
I love the Smitten. I didn't bring a knife. Do I have to cut you out again? Oh, doesn't she just like slip out?
I'm okay with whatever you come up with. You can cut my arm off again.
Damn.
We won't be laying a finger on her perfect wrists, and indeed, we won't even have to. Do you see how dainty her hands are? We'll be able to slip her right out with no harm done. What? No, she's a prisoner here. You can't just slip her hand through the chains.
Watch me.
Why are you two arguing over the logistics of slipping her hand out of her shackles? She just said she'd be okay with any idea we came up with. Am I the only one here who thinks that's weird?
Literally, yes. You are the only one out of the others who thinks that's weird right now.
She didn't care last time. Why should she care this time? That's our stoic, smiling angel.
And he possesses this image in his mind that this is all she is. But like, we have no idea what is back here. And part of that is our own perception and not knowing how to ask those questions. Like I said, I will teach you how to navigate a situation like this. It's not just going to show up in intimate relationships, but in every kind of relationship that you have. we're protecting things from people and they're protecting from us. It's natural. But we have no idea. We have no idea how to ask for that. And she has no idea how to show us either.
No, you're right. It's extremely bizarre behaviour and further evidence that she's a monster who's not to be trusted. So go ahead and slay her.
Nope. Rescue her.
I can't let you do that. If you take another step towards the princess, I'll... You'll what? Take over our body and force us to try and kill her? I would if you had a weapon.
No weapon.
Not on my watch, villain. My passions contain titanic depths, and if you try anything that might harm our dearest, I will end our life without a second thought.
God damn. That is so extreme.
You wouldn't.
I would.
I would. I'd listen to him if I were you. He has a lot of strong feelings. And doesn't the world end if we don't stop her? You approach the princess and gingerly slide her hand from her bindings. That shouldn't have worked.
But it did.
I'll be damned. We're doomed. I can't believe it. But I guess I have to. I told you. There's no life more worth living than that of a true believer.
I'm free, and you're not trying to kill me this time. Thank you. Thank you so much.
The princess jumps up and smothers you in a joyful embrace. Ugh.
It's one of my favorite parts of this game is when the narrator has to describe this kind of stuff. Look, I'll be honest. I am kind of a sucker for romance. I love it. I just love it. Whether it's in like games or movies or whatever, like, you know, I'm really into like deep writing and cool world building, sci-fi, all that intellectual stuff. But you know what I really enjoy is I want a little bit of love in my stories, you know, a little bit of romantic escapism. The world is miserable enough as it is in reality. It's just nice to live in a space sometimes where, even if fabricated, someone is trying to depict a healthy version of what is one of, like, you know, humans' main pursuits of happiness, which is like connecting with someone else. It's just it's nice to see, even if even if I'm going to totally psychoanalyze why this is like not a very good relationship very soon here.
Only you had a weapon, one slip of the wrist and your pristine blade would be buried in her back and everyone out there would be saved.
He sounds like me. He sounds like me in all these episodes. If only I had the pristine blade. One slip of the wrist, one slice of the blade.
Luckily for Mr. Romance, we don't have a weapon. Who needs a weapon when we have the power of love on our side?
What do you do now?
Okay, I think this is it, right? What do you want to do? So this is the turning point where previously we were sort of like, let's say, imperceptive to this dynamic. We were not able to see that, how could she want anything besides what we're seeing on the surface? Clearly she wants to be with me. Clearly she just wants to leave with me, right? Asking what people want is actually not so easy, we find. Asking what you want is also not so easy because of the way that we tend to do it. I'm kind of curious to see how this plays out before I talk more about that, though. What do you want to do?
Let me guess. End the world?
Okay. This is new territory for us.
Spoken with the rank cynicism of someone who has never felt love in his heart.
That's real.
I don't actually know. Nobody's ever asked me what I wanted before.
That's that's so sad.
She doesn't even know what she wants. You may have had her all wrong. What if this whole thing is just a misunderstanding? What if she doesn't want to end the world? You're so gullible. Is the only thing you've ever doubted the actual truth?
I think I want to leave. And I think...
The princess closes her eyes in deep reflection. And then she shrugs.
I don't know. What do you want to do?
Must be something you want. I want you to tell me what you want. Yeah. In a very real sense, we're also seeing this play out. We don't always even know what we are hiding or what we are protecting from other people, right? I've had that conversation with clients before where I'm detecting that this is going on in maybe their relationship or something, and I'll ask the question, what emotions are you protecting from this person? And they're kind of like, what do you mean? I'm very open with my partner. And I'm like, oh, you don't even know. You don't even know what you are protecting them from. Partially because that conversation's not happening. Like there's something about the way desire is not being effectively communicated in that relationship. But the focus is so much on the other person and what they want and how do I make her happy or him happy that there's not a lot of self-investigation into what I actually want. It's kind of an interesting roadblock to run into, is like, I don't actually even know, I didn't even understand that I was also protecting my emotions from this person. Because one, I thought that I was doing it for them to keep the peace, or those are just my emotions. I don't want her or him to have to, or them to have to like deal with what is my problem. We're so afraid of this leading to some kind of conflict that we haven't even done that investigation into ourselves. And what that actually points to is that there is a lot of insecurity in the relationship, right? Whether we realize it or not. If you are protecting things and you don't even know it, or maybe you do, and it feels more worthwhile to keep them to yourself because you're afraid that sharing them would drive the other person away, then there is definitely insecurity there that should probably be addressed, right? And while the two of you may be at peace, like not fighting, not tearing each other apart, there are going to be more and more divides in understanding and connection until that becomes a lot more apparent that those insecurities are coming up. I want you to tell me what you want. I kind of want to see if she can explore what emotion she's protecting from us.
I just want to make you happy.
Okay. Music has changed, and so is she, actually.
She can't just want to make us happy.
No, princess. I want you to ask yourself what you want. Don't worry about whether I'm happy or not. You're not going to drive me away by being honest.
It makes sense to me. That's all I want for her, so of course she'd want the same for us.
You have to want something more than just making me happy.
Okay, I'll find something else to want if that makes you happy.
Is she like deconstructing? She's becoming like more simple.
Is she broken? What's going on? What's going on is she's lying to you, only she isn't a good liar. Are you starting to trust me now?
I want you to make me unhappy. That's brilliant. There must be something you want.
I just want to make you happy.
Oh, this is sad.
This isn't right. I don't know what's going on, but this isn't right. I fail to see the problem here. She's just sweet on us. You don't have to act like it's a big deal.
No. There is something more. Okay, clearly something is happening here, and I'm very scared. What if we just don't do anything? What if we just stay here, nobody gets hurt, and we just figure out a way to be happy together?
Oh, is that really what you want? If you think that would make you happy, then...
Her eyes dart uncomfortably to the corners of the room.
I guess we could do that.
She's back. She's back. You can see that, like, she was literally withering away, trying to contain like all the emotion she was protecting from us. Like it was deconstructing her very being. And we start to see that. We start to simplify our view of people because like this is way too simple of an understanding about someone when we keep asking that question like, are you happy? Can I make you happy? Is there something more that you want? And our response is often like, no, you can't do anything. Clearly this person we care about is missing something that we want to maybe provide, but they're so afraid that they'll be rejected for sharing what that thing is, that they try to keep up the facade. But it seems like that's finally broken for the princess. And look at her body language, like she's back to herself, but she's about to tell us what she's been protecting, what she really feels.
Oh, at least she's normal again. Normal again? Can't you tell she's sad? She's distraught. This is unacceptable. But she can't be unhappy about staying with us. Can she?
I don't know. Can she?
No. It has to be him. It has to be this place. If we just made these walls more fitting for a princess, if we just said the right things, if we just showed her the contents of our heart, she'd be happy here.
Hey, yo, Smitten? Kind of weird. Kind of weird how you're saying that last bit. But you can also see he's like terrified of showing her what's on the other side of this boundary too. But I don't see this being like, let me try to be more vulnerable and delicately introduce you to what I'm protecting. He's going to try to like, I don't know, unburden everything at once, it sounds like. And that can also be very overwhelming.
As the voice thinks its thought, your hands raise, fingers pointing towards your chest, and then... What? No, you absolutely do not do that.
Did he mean literally?
Oh, but I do. What? What is he doing? We can't see unless you tell us.
No. Wait a second. You all didn't tell me this was going to be a fucking, this kind of route. I thought we were done with the fucking nightmare flesh stuff.
Are you sure you want to know? I suppose I can't stall forever.
No, this is supposed to be the healing route. This is supposed to be like the finality of all of this. A nice, clean, simple, emotional conclusion. I'm not supposed to have my heart ripped out. Oh my God!
Nails into your chest, digging deep, grasping for a handhold. And you find it, your fingers curling around your ribs.
Oh no, what are you doing?
She's doing the same thing as me.
Okay? You can't do that and be okay.
In a sense, I also feel like the princess was about to tell us what she's been protecting. But the Smitten is so afraid of losing this perception of her as being perfect and, you know, we being everything that she needs, that he's interrupting that. He's interrupting that by doing this.
Time out. He should not be allowed to do that. He's not the decider. And yet, it's done, isn't it?
Oh my God.
It will be soon. You yank violently, your bones cracking with wet pops as you pull yourself apart inch by painful inch. Your closed heart, framed by jagged ribs, thumps rhythmically in your raw, bloodied chest. The loosened threads of your body unfurling to cover the surface of the room.
Okay. I'm actually like feeling like really uncomfortable with this. I'm not just playing this up for the camera. Like, this is actually really uncomfortable.
Don't mind my sacrifice. It's a fair price to pay to give her everything she doesn't know she wants.
Oh my god, that line is so... It's so good. It's legitimately so good. And so tragic. Don't mind my sacrifice. What we do protecting this person we're supposedly intimate with and want to be vulnerable to, but we feel like it's a sacrifice to withhold everything that we actually feel from this person. And then it's a fair price to pay to give her everything she doesn't know she wants. He doesn't know what she wants. It's exactly like I was saying. He just thinks that he knows what she wants. And he's willing to do something extreme to show her that, rather than just ask her, rather than just fucking listen. Ask and listen.
Oh, I see. You're trying to tell me something. It's beautiful.
The princess, mesmerized, reaches towards your beating heart, and then...
And then?
Everything goes dark and we die? Yes.
Happily ever after.
You're on a path in the woods. Mate, we're clearly already in the cabin. Excuse me? You're clearly... Oh. Huh. So you are. How do you know about the cabin? I didn't get to the cabin part of my opening monologue yet. We've been here before. Well, not here, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. You knew about the loop-in last time. Not that he was eager to divulge that.
Oh my god, it's Paranoid! What is he doing here? Wait. What is he doing here? It's not always a good sign when he shows up.
Right on cue, here's the new guy. Welcome! I can't say I'm happy to be here. This is a bad place. All stale and wrong. Can't you feel it? Okay, yes, I get it. You've been here before. That's terrible. You know that, right? Because the only reason you would have been here before is if you failed in whatever world you'd come from. Meaning you doomed an entire other reality. But I'm sure since you're so well-travelled, you know that, yes?
Yes.
We know that you keep telling us that, but we've never seen a world end. As far as I'm concerned, that whole conversation is just noise. And I'm stuck on a better question. Where's the other one?
God, I love the Paranoid.
The other one? Yeah, a certain lovesick fool has been suspiciously quiet. One might even say, absent.
I mean, he literally killed himself.
Oh, you're right. It's a little quiet here, isn't it? Maybe that's one of the rules. Maybe only one bonus voice is allowed to be here at a time.
Nope, because they've all been here when I really lost my mind before.
Bonus voice? I'm just as important as you are. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. All I'm saying is that it's my third time here and it's your first. You're not unwelcome, but from my perspective, you're definitely bonus. I'm going to describe the room now. The interior of the cabin is vast and regal. High arched windows line the walls, their multicoloured glass casting kaleidoscopic patterns across the stone floor. An iron chandelier hangs from the vaulted ceiling, its many candles lit with flickering light, vaguely illuminating the massive room. This is a house fit for royalty.
Yeah, I mean, has the Smitten kind of designed this, right? Because this doesn't seem like the princess's design.
Before you, there isn't a blade, is there?
No blade.
That's not good.
Maybe it is good. Maybe it's for the best. Don't give me that option anymore. Does it matter if the blade's here? We didn't use it last time, and the time before that, she used it to kill us.
I see your point, but it's still an option that's been taken away from us. I don't like losing options.
No, that's what I just said, Paranoid. It's actually, we, as in Brady and you, should have less options in that department.
Yes, and it's an important one. It's your implement. You're going to need it if you want to do this right. And the fact that you're here, right now, again, means that you have not yet done this right.
Okay.
But it's not there, is it? We don't even get the choice. So, what are we supposed to do? I don't actually know. I'm sure it'll turn up somewhere. It has to. It's part of the whole structure of this place, I think. At the very least, it's important.
If it does show up, I will be so vindicated. I have been saying this whole time that the blade is fundamental to the structure of this reality. None of you going to talk about the mirror?
Oh, I see it. I've just been preoccupied with everything else going on. Like the fact that we can rip our own heart out without deciding that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Is that what happened to you last time? How did that even work? You better not do it again.
Given the choice, I never would.
Lucky for you, the one who did it is the one who's gone. Wonderful. Moving on, I have no idea what you're talking about. There is no mirror. There's only the stained glass windows, the empty table where your blade should be, and the door to the basement.
Okay.
There it is, right in the middle of the room. It feels like it's watching us. Mirror or no mirror, the door to the basement, your only way forward, is just on the other side of the room. How about you walk over there?
Okay. Let's check out the mirror.
You cross the room, stopping just in front of the door to the basement. What is this about that supposed mirror? Just reach forward and fumble around a bit. I'm sure you'll find the handle. Well, shall we have a look at ourselves?
Yes.
You reach forward, your hand instinctively wrapping around the handle. It's gone. I don't like things disappearing on us. I don't like how fluid reality seems to be. Neither do I. And then you push the door open. Marvellous. We can proceed.
Okay.
It would seem that the stairs to the basement don't lead to a basement at all. Rather, they go up. They're draped in fine carpet too, one that feels pleasantly soft against your feet.
Oh, this is a nice reality.
If the princess lives here, slaying her would probably... no, that doesn't work here at all. This place is nice. It's fancy, even. I have to say, whatever you did in your previous lives, I deeply dislike how much it's thrown me off my rhythm.
Ah, yeah, okay. What emotions is the narrator protecting? I mean, we haven't really asked that question, other than we know that he protects fear, right? Actually, he's not very protective of the fear of the world ending, but he may be protective of certain other things he's afraid of. Maybe like the fear of being alone, or other things, right? But I wonder what else he is also constructed sort of a mask to withhold from us.
Well, if all of this has thrown you off your rhythm so much, then maybe we don't have to slay the princess.
I mean, there's no blade. There's no blade, and this doesn't really look like a princess slaying environment to me.
No, you absolutely do. Just because she lives in a nice house doesn't mean she doesn't pose a direct threat to all of reality. It's in her very nature. Am I the only one who remembers how much she changed last time? Does she even have a nature?
It's kind of an interesting way he says this. I realize that this has been happening the entire time, but it's kind of interesting that like the voice that shows up remembers the route that they were not on, but their like ability to verbalize their perspective only gets activated in the next chapter. But clearly Paranoid and Smitten and whoever else were always there. They're all a part of every route. They just only one of them gets the bonus seat in the next route. But they do remember.
That is precisely why she poses a threat. I don't know, she got weird for a second, yeah, but she didn't change that. We have to move on. This is a wildly dangerous line of reasoning.
Yeah, we're a little close to empathizing with her, aren't we? Let's move swiftly past that.
No, you can't just say that and not... Her voice, gentle and warm, with an undercurrent of fatigue, rolls down the stairs.
You're home. Dinner's ready.
Dinner.
As much as I desperately want to know what happened last time, we are not going to examine it. The more we think, the worse this gets.
He doesn't want to uncover those feelings that he's got all buried up in him. He wants to avoid that. He doesn't want to feel.
Why are you so on edge? This is much nicer than what we're used to. I'd like to have dinner. Dinner sounds nice. That is the problem. This isn't supposed to be nice, and she's supposed to be a prisoner. I need to stop talking. Just go upstairs, okay?
Is there like an aspect of the narrator knows he is only able to instigate the princess's demise? Like it's built into his nature to desire her to die? And it's like a very confrontational idea to think that he could feel something different than that. Maybe he would have to realize that he was built with a desire that he actually doesn't possess deep down.
And don't eat the food.
I might have a bite.
This hall, like the one below, is grand and beautiful. Torches bathe the room in warm, comforting light, just enough to illuminate the tapestries along every wall, woven with scenes of chivalry and courtship and romance. The many cloth eyes are fixed on each other, gazes averted from the long table in the centre of the room, the princess seated at its far end. Your pristine blade glints in the weak torchlight, hanging from a golden chain around the princess's neck.
What? It's there?
So that's where it is. And the tip is already pointed right at her heart. Okay, everything is falling back into place. All you have to do is cross the room, push it down a little, and the entire world is saved. That's easy. Isn't that
suspicious?
Easy. There has to be a twist. There has to be something waiting for us. You saw what happened to her last time. She's not what she seems.
Her relationship with the pristine blade is different this time.
You're here. Now we can start being happy together. Why don't you sit down? Wouldn't that be nice?
It would be nice.
As the words leave her mouth, the torches flare and a chair swings in from behind, knocking your legs out from under you. You're forcibly seated at the head of the table.
Okay. Are we going to get a deeper understanding of what the princess wants?
Isn't that better? It is better, right?
What is this place?
It's our happy ending, just like you asked for. It's everything we're supposed to have ever wanted.
But is it what you want? Or is it just what I think you want? And what are we supposed to do now?
Oh, right, dinner. I totally forgotten about it.
Flames burn bright and a shadow dives across the table. In its wake, it leaves a feast.
Something's not right, though. I mean, I know that she's a creature of our own perception, but if part of my perception is wanting to have her own independent desires, how can I get out of a space where I'm not manipulating that? How do I really know what she wants?
Go ahead and dig in. I'm sure you're hungry.
Remember what I said. But it looks so amazing, and after everything we've been through, we could really use a break. Are you sure we need to be so concerned? I'm not sure about anything, and
that's your personality, friend.
For what it's worth, I generally don't think one should trust strange food that magically appears on a table.
Oh!
Nothing here is exactly what I expected it to be, so make of that what you will.
I can't trust strange food that magically appears, but I can trust a strange, magically appearing, pristine blade. I see how it is, narrator. Refuse her hospitality. I don't know. Part of me wants to, like, push back at this because I'm getting a similar vibe of, like, is this really what you want? I'm gonna try. Something's not right.
It's okay. It's okay. We can figure something else out. Think.
Stop trying to just please me.
This is fine. This is fine. This is fine.
Like, look how much anxiety it's creating.
This isn't fine. This isn't fine at all.
Yes, no, it isn't fine, but I would rather be uncomfortable and honest than be at peace, but not true to each other.
As the words leave her mouth, one of the torches on the wall sputters and then goes out entirely.
What just happened? Did I do something wrong?
No, you didn't do anything wrong.
A light went out. Maybe a coincidence, but maybe not.
Is this thing manipulating her somehow?
As if in response to the dousing of their brother, the other 3 torches blaze brighter, their flames licking at the walls. Their shadows deepen, dancing angrily across the stone.
I don't think you did anything wrong. I think you just said something you wanted to say.
But it was wrong. I took away a piece of our light. I'm not supposed to do that. I don't want him to be upset with me.
Who's him? Who is he?
He's the voice that whispers sweet nothings in my ear. I think he made this place for us.
Does she have her own voice?
It all makes sense now. It's him, isn't it? He's making all this happen. He's the one who trapped us here. Who? The lovesick one. The one from
The Smitten.
He's just with her now. He's the shadow.
Oh, shit! It's like when we were the princess and the dragon. It's just the Smitten is with her. Oh, that's fucked up. Hey, hey, Smitten. You were real chatty last time. Don't you have anything to say?
Smitten?
The torches flare and the shadow grows for a moment, but you don't receive a response. No, I saw him smile. That's him.
Will you just let her be? What he said was giving her everything she doesn't know she wants. This is just what you want.
Regardless, it would seem that he, if there is a he, isn't something you can talk to.
This is so common, though. Like, people go to extreme lengths to assume what people want rather than just asking them or asking themselves what they're afraid of happening if they heard what that person really wanted.
He says his words are just for me, but he wants me to ask, isn't this enough? Isn't this what you wanted him to do?
Oh.
He says he's tired, and I don't think he'll answer anything else you have to say.
Forget about the food. What should we do now?
I don't know. Maybe we could play a game. Yeah, that's exactly what we should do.
The flames roar and the shadow comes dancing across the table. It leaves behind an intricate game, its pieces elegant and beautiful and enticing, its simple rules already apparent, even with little explanation.
We can probably work together to figure this out as we go. That sounds like a lot of fun, right?
It does sound fun. It does sound fun. But what do you really want?
Yet another waste of time. Why all the distractions? What are we being distracted from? That's the real game. I feel like I'm 2 steps behind.
That's why the paranoid is here. He's here to get us out of this mess.
You're overthinking it, mate. I feel like this is just something to do. We might as well try to have some fun.
No, there's a mystery here. And the paranoid is here to solve it.
You and the princess do indeed figure it out as you go. And what a game it is. The tension between turns, the triumphant highs of moves well placed, and the tragic lows of miscalculations and careless plays. The warmth of trust and the cool texture of deception. And then, the climax, as she places her final piece.
Oh, I think we got the rules wrong.
And so you start over. Time passes. You play the game. You win.
Okay.
Hey! Oh yeah, look at that.
Oh, you won. I guess we can play again.
Is this just it? This is just our life?
Time passes. You play the game. She wins.
Oh, I won. I guess we can play again.
No, princess, like, this isn't a life. We're not living.
There is a long pause, and the board does not reset.
This isn't fun anymore, is it?
No, because we're not being honest.
It's never going to stay fun. You don't need me to tell you that it isn't. Oh. The princess visibly panics as another torch sputters.
Wait. Maybe this is just too easy. Maybe if we added more rules and pieces, it would be fun again.
Oh, the Smitten's losing his hold.
Yeah. The game's just a little simple. We can make it fun again. The shadow descends on the board once again. More pieces are added, their shapes more intricate, their purposes less immediately clear, and the two of you set about discovering the complexities of the game anew.
Man, it's so perfect though, as like symbolism for relationship dynamics, like just focusing on the wrong things, working on the wrong things, thinking that like if you rearrange the parts of the relationship that are already functional, rather than like addressing the fact that there are dysfunctional things that the two of you have never even spoken about. Of course, it will feel productive at times to like iterate on what's right in front of you. But as long as you like don't address what's being withheld, like whatever emotions are being protected, whatever desires are not being expressed, or we fear they're going to be rejected or something, of course we're going to wear down on it eventually.
And so you do. And it is fun again. In fact, it's almost as fun as the first time you played, and the sputtering torch roars back to life.
This can't last forever though.
But then you get used to the additions, and the feeling starts to fade. A creeping numbness settling in over the board. More pieces are added.
Come on.
Feelings flare. The feelings fade. The princess suggests new rules. A glimmer of what could have been excitement flits through your mind, quickly vanishing as the game progresses. Your pieces advance in an ever-increasing slog to their destination. Winning and losing become nothing but ends, and even the end becomes nothing as you roll over into a new game, the board resetting as many times as you can finish. Until finally what?
I'm out of ideas. I'm actually out of ideas this time. I don't think I can play anymore.
As the words leave the princess's mouth, another torch goes out. Again, the remaining flames burn brighter, and the shadow dances faster.
I'm happy, I promise. We're both so happy here. You don't have to be upset.
I'm so upset though. I'm so upset because I know what this feels like. I know what it feels like to have everything going well on the surface and for nothing to be in its place underneath it.
This is awful.
What? The fucking narrator is saying that? I thought that was the hero at first.
I think we all know that we're not happy. We just have to admit it to ourselves.
It's just a torch. This place isn't right. We have to put the rest of them out. We have to get rid of that shadow. Are you actually happy here?
The princess starts to hyperventilate, her quick breaths punctuating the uncomfortable silence between you.
Yes! Why wouldn't I be? Let's not talk about it.
Oh my god. The fear of expressing how she feels. It's just so painful to listen to. We need the truth. You need to tell me how you really feel, please!
I don't feel anything.
What?
The third torch sputters out. The princess's shadow dances furiously against the far wall.
There's just one left. What's going to happen when it goes out?
I don't know. Whatever the shadows have been showing us isn't real. We need to see what happens when the lights go out.
We do, don't we?
Yes. Yes. We need to see.
I'm not happy here. I don't think I ever was.
Ah, it's healing time! It's fucking healing time, guys!
The princess sobs, burying her face in her hands as the final torch blows out.
I mean, what I mean by that is, it's about to get real depressing. Then we'll heal. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. I feel empty. I feel like this is all my fault. This is unfortunately where we do come to, though. When for so long we've repressed expressing what we really want. And a lot of times the problem that we have in how we express those things is, it comes back to my first point. We tend to communicate our desires in very fear-based ways. We say things like, I don't want you to leave. When what we really want to say is, I want you to stay. We want to communicate our desires for this person, not what we fear about them, right? Because when we communicate a fear to someone, what's received is hesitation, insecurity, doubt. And what that creates as a response is avoidance. It creates a fear of like not being enough for that person. Like this might sound like something passionate to say to someone, that you're trying to pour your love out for them. I'll literally rip my heart out for you. I don't want you to leave. I don't want us to fight. When what we really mean to say is, I want us to get along. When you communicate a desire to someone, you express confidence in your relationship. You express cooperation, right? You're inviting that person to be curious about like what this is going to look like and how that's going to work. And it communicates trust that this is really what I want from you, not just what I'm afraid of losing. So we want to say things like, I want to be the only source of love and belonging in your life, not I'm worried you'll look for that elsewhere, right? This is one of those fundamental changes that I've seen turn relationships around, is when people realize that even though they're passionate statements, they're often communicated in this very fear-based way. I don't want to lose you. I don't want to lose you. I'm afraid of what you'll say. I worry I'm not enough, right? Like those things, they create the opposite effects in what we're looking for, when what we really mean to say is, I want to keep you. Your understanding of how I feel is important to me. When we can shift to expressing clear desires, we break down that facade and we can be honest. And look, it's going to be messy a lot of times. It's hard to, one, even know that you are protecting feelings from someone. But true connection with them means like showing them and not being afraid that there are parts of you that are incomplete, broken, vulnerable, sensitive, and that it's so innocent to have those things, to feel these things. And you can only hope that it's not rejected by the other person. If they really mean something to you, they'll be there to listen. So I'm gonna avoid doing what I just talked about, which is communicating in fear-based desires. And I'm gonna tell her what I want, right? You can open your eyes, I'm still here, you know.
She raises her head, mascara trailing down her cheeks.
So you are. It's dark in here, isn't it?
that kind of statement, it does invite trust in, if you show me something that you're vulnerable about, I'll be able to receive it and I won't push you away or judge you for it.
The princess's eyes dart to the floor.
Well, we can't sit here forever. That part of us is over.
The princess pushes herself from her chair, and you instinctively do the same, waiting by the top of the stairs as she quietly crosses the room.
Do you still care about me?
Ooh, see, she just did it, right? She expressed a desire in that very fear-based way, right? And what it often makes us feel is like, well, she's clearly insecure about being wanted, which is very sad. It's sad to hear that, right? In some ways, like really knowing, you know, your partner is about being able to translate what that desire is in your mind, right? I want you to care about me. I want to be cared for by you. Oh man, there's so many interesting outcomes I'm sure that can come from this, but I have to go with what my heart tells me, which is to follow my instincts, that I want this person to feel secure, not needing to protect what she really feels from me. That's what we've been fighting to do this entire run. And so if she's communicating insecurity and hesitation and doubt, then I want to provide her with security and patience and understanding. Of course I do. I don't think I'll ever stop.
Oh, I wasn't expecting you to say that. I still care about you, too, so maybe this wasn't all bad.
I wasn't expecting to hear you say that, yeah. Because we've just been keeping everything away from each other this whole time. But look how, like, freeing it is to just say what you feel. I care about you, too.
But I don't think this place is for us anymore. I think we need to go.
I think we do. Let's go.
As the princess steps towards the stairs, you offer her your hand. The corners of her mouth curl into a demure smile, and she gently takes your hand in hers. She's cold, a little clammy, but her skin against yours is the most real thing you have ever felt. You're offering surprisingly little resistance. If we leave the cabin, doesn't that end the world?
Yeah.
It does, if he's telling the truth. Yes, well, I've seen my fairy tale ending, and I think there might be worse things than the end of the world. Really was just all meaningless blather then, wasn't it? Think what you will. I'm done fighting. You and the princess don't exchange words as you descend the stairs to the cabin's entrance. And then the two of you step out into the world. I think this is the end of me, even if it's not the end of you. I hope this was worth it. Genuinely, I do.
Oh, even the narrator has some character development. But you can see what it took to earn that willingness to understand someone else. And that it literally required like such an extreme depiction of someone's sorrow and the feeling of being trapped. And all of these things that, like, fundamentally, the narrator actually can relate very strongly to the princess on. Like, that ability to see a shared experience is so important for empathy. And I think this is the first time that the narrator really got it. And in a sense, we're also seeing, like, yeah, he's been protecting a lot too. This isn't like a brand new feeling to him. It's just that he stopped protecting himself and everyone around him from the idea that getting everything that you think you want, the fairy tale ending, sometimes it's actually not as appealing as you think. Especially if everything it costs to get it feels empty in the long run.
He's really gone, isn't he? Yeah. There's an itching in the back of my head that feels like it's finally been scratched. No more shadowy figures yanking at our strings. No more strings. I guess we're free.
The stars are so beautiful.
Is this... You know, I just remembered that this is the last run in this playthrough as well. And everything I've just done and fought for is about to be taken away from me by the Shifting Mound. And not just my efforts, but Paranoid's efforts, and even Smitten's, who was only trying to do what he felt was right. And most especially the princess here, but even the narrators. I think I've even been able to develop some empathy for the narrator, that what he wants, he constantly has to see taken away from him. And, you know, the first time around in this game, I didn't consider the individual princesses that much. I was happy to see them as something combining together to be something that represented all of them, something that represented, you know, the possibility of change, kind of like different pieces of one entity's emotional range. But like the princesses we've seen in this second run have been very complex and have quite an emotional range themselves, like especially this one. And I don't want to see them go. I feel more like they're losing something by being distilled into just a composition in the Shifting Mound. And I kind of want to resist that. A quiet moment passes over you, a comfortable quiet.
We should dance.
Yes, we should. She gently pulls you forward, and the two of you fall into graceful step. The only rhythm that guides you is the shared thumping of your hearts, beating in perfect unison. Her face, worn and tired, brightens the faster you move. A soft, sad smile, widening and widening until it reflects only genuine affection. You send her out in a wide spin, and your arms stretch to their limits. Only the tenuous grasp of your hand in hers holding you together. You share a gaze that feels like it lasts forever.
Thank you for taking me here. This is nice, even if it's a little cold outside.
They even worked the pristine blade into this one. Speaking of, may I have it, please? Because I think I want to fucking stab the Shifting Mound now. It feels very unfair. It feels very unfair to just give that away. To give that away, and for what? What are we working towards?
She's gone. Where did she go? Should we try and find her?
Yes.
Is that a mirror? Why is it here? Why now?
We should try to find her. Can we take her back?
What is that supposed to mean? Whatever awful thing I felt before, it feels so much worse now. Can't even trust ourselves.
Okay. Silence as you reach forward, they're gone once again. The mirror always makes them leave, but you need to see what's in it. You are nothing at all. That isn't right. You can't be nothing. Refocus your gaze, and you see it. A figure, faint and veiled in shadow, just beyond the reflection. me?
I think you know what I am.
A crack slides down the center of the mirror, splitting the image in the glass in two. And then another crack forms, and another, turning the mirror into jagged shards of broken glass. Okay, so we've explored some of this. I have so many questions for you.
Then ask them, and make it quick. I won't last for long now that you can see me.
Alright, I want to ask him stuff that we haven't asked him before. So you're the narrator.
The narrator, yes. I suppose that's my job, isn't it? You needed help after all, an objective voice to guide your blade. But you were never supposed to see me. I wonder how many worlds you've damned to extinction to fall this far.
Every time I ask you something, it's like a piece of you breaks.
I'm aware. And if I were you, I'd be more precious about your time.
Shit, I don't remember what I asked him before. I wasn't supposed to see all this.
You were either going to have seen all this, or you weren't going to have seen all this. This is worse, but you still have an opportunity to save the world. You can still slay her.
You still slay the princess, huh? I need to know what she actually is.
She is the shifting mound, the ebb and flow, the capacity to change. She is transformation, or most of it. Her nature is why I had to die, for she becomes that which others perceive her to be. But an echo can't perceive things, not in the way that people can. So I tucked a part of myself into the folds of this construct to guide you. Like I said, this isn't the end just yet. You can still destroy her and save everyone. You were made to do this single task, and you will still have a chance to fulfill your purpose once I'm gone.
The thing is if I go through with destroying the Shifting Mound, it's not because I give a fuck about what you're talking about, it's because I want to save the princesses she took from me! Why would you want me to destroy the concept of transformation?
Because among other things, she is death itself. To rid the world of suffering, to save untold trillions from being lost forever to the cosmic wind, she must be destroyed.
To save untold trillions from being lost. Is he talking about the individual princesses, though? I mean, because the Shifting Mound exists, it creates these realities where we have to kill the princess every time, or she has to be killed or taken or whatever. And they're constantly suffering. They're constantly having to endure these like complex, frustrating relationship dynamics and getting stabbed, becoming horrific monstrosities. Maybe that's what he's talking about. What would it be like to live in a world without her?
Light. Burdenless. An eternal pattern of forgetfulness leading into the joys of rediscovery. Everyone will be with the ones they love. No more fear. No more howling chaos. Just life. Forever. There's a cruel irony to it all. The only way I could share my dream with the world was to never be able to see it for myself.
In one of my lives, you doubted yourself. You thought that all of this was wrong.
Oh, did I? That means nothing in the grand scheme of things. This construct you're in contains every possible world at once. The fact that you managed to find one reality among trillions where I was delusional proves nothing.
No, you were not delusional. You were reachable. There was one reality where you had a fucking ounce of empathy. How did you die?
I killed myself. It had to be done, really. None of this would have worked if I was still alive. Nobody living could know about her.
Oh, and all that shit you gave me about using the pristine blade on myself, and you went out the same way. Oh my god, there's so many. I'm pretty sure death is good, actually. Important, even. Did I say that before? Probably I did. You've called this place a construct. What's it supposed to do?
It was supposed to keep the two of you trapped here until the job was done. and it was supposed to guide your hand to help you see things through. The construct you're in exists in every world at once. Anytime you failed, anytime you thought yourself dead, it would restart and shunt both you and her into a new world. But you're waking up to your true nature now. It won't be able to work like that anymore.
All right, whatever. I'm just gonna say nothing and watch him end. You know, I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do with the Shifting Mound just yet, but whatever I'm doing, I'm not doing it for this guy.
I've said my piece, and my time is up.
Bye!
I'm just an echo, and every echo fades away. You know what you have to do.
There's only one version of you that was reachable, and you told me he was delusional, so get fucked. As the final fragment of glass shatters, you see yourself with newfound clarity. You are the long quiet, a vast and nascent god, and it is finally time for you to wake up. All of this is you. To the cabin. When you arrive at the heart of things, there's no final vessel for you to bear witness to. There's nothing for you to find. All right. Let's do this.
I can finally see you, and you can finally see me. It's been so long, and my heart has ached for this moment. I've missed you dearly.
Okay. So what do you have to say about the echo?
Every word you spoke found its way to me. I know him, and I know his construct. He was deluded by his fear of death. Pay him no mind.
I'm the long quiet, but I don't really know what that means.
Names are their attempts to capture that which cannot be captured. They call me the Shifting Mound, a pale imitation of what I actually am.
Okay. What happens now?
Ever the passive player, always reacting and never acting. But it's woven into your nature, isn't it?
I don't know. I've taken a lot of action. Some good, some not.
When the echo spun us from one into two, he gave you a choice and me a role to play. I am not death, but I contain it in my multitudes. So, will you attempt to destroy me and bring about a world devoid of death and the possibility of meaning? Or will you open the final doors to our liberation?
Yeah, like I said, the first time around, I had a very different perspective on what we were doing here. And I was more focused on meaning in a very sort of like macro way. Like all of the experiences that I have when put together in the multitudes have to have some meaning. But I found in this playthrough that I had more meaningful experiences in the iterations, more connections with the princesses themselves, and I miss those relationships. There was meaning in those like fractions of my experience, but they always felt like they were being taken away from me, like that I wasn't allowed to develop a deeper meaning than the entity here wanted. Can I ask more questions?
My very nature is paradox, as is yours. You cannot use words to grasp at things that are beyond their reach.
Okay.
And you cannot rationalize that which defies logic. But violence and passion are dances that both of us know well. If this is what it takes to enlighten you, then so be it.
All right, it's fight time.
Picture of a life, and a picture of a life, and a picture of a life. How deep must repetition still our movements, until even the air we breathe is stale?
Ooh, which one is this?
You doused the flames of false devotion, and in my despair, you lifted my chin, and the two of us danced beneath the stars.
Give her back!
But the stars can't be seen unless the flames go out, and the walls come crashing down. Can you not do for all things what you did for us?
I wish I could. Let's address this vessel's statement directly. I was so glad to dance with you. I never want to hold the world still. It needs you. The only reason we weren't happy was because we couldn't forget. There's a version of that world worth living in. Oh man, I want to say so much to this one though. Yeah, my natural resistance is to say that is to hold on. I want to hold on and not give in to this. Can't we go back there?
You steeped yourself deeper in delusion.
No, it's not delusional.
You for the thoughts that dance in your mind, and I will break them before we're through.
Oh my God, Fury.
Is it their body? Is it all of their body? Pluck the eyes, peel the skin, strip the tendons.
No, don't do that.
Grind the bones. When it is all gone, do you still have who you started with?
No.
A person is not a body. Death is a transformation into something new. It is only bodies that fear it.
Let's respond to this one. I'm not my body, but I feel my body suffer. Yeah. I don't feel attached to my physical being, especially not with the Fury, but suffering is something quite tangible.
Do you suffer now? Let go of what you think yourself to be and exist.
No!
It once was one, then was two, and then was one again. You gave me shelter when you burned mine down, and then you struck another match.
Oh, the princess and the dragon.
I pulled you from the village,
Oh, sweetie.
and then we built a life. It once was one, then was one again. The peace didn't last. The worm in your heart came for us. It took you from me, but you took me with you. And together we both left. What once was one, then was two, and also one again.
Yeah, losing this one was like the first moment where I was like, no, this feels wrong. It feels wrong to go through all of this effort in building this connection to just have her taken away to fucking this thing.
You and I are bound together. To rid yourself of me would be to leave yourself forever incomplete.
I wish I could leave with you now like we did then. That was terrible. I never want to be so close to anyone ever again. Ah, it's so heartbreaking. I never wanted to get pulled into you. I just didn't like sharing a body with you. Oh my God, this is horrible. No, I wish I could leave with you like we did then.
Then leave with me.
No, you're not her. I won't leave with you. Not until you see things from my perspective.
If you need more time to open your eyes, then I will give you all the time in
I'm not quitting. No! Fuck.
The spirit, with violence you stranded me, and with violence I sought to twist your flesh back into mine.
Oh, Wraith, the one who turned me into a worm.
Forced you to be your death and forfeiting your body. You chose agency. But agency requires action. And action requires endless tapestry of events. In your final moments, would you remove action itself from reality?
Agency is important to me. And yes, I feel like the action to take is not to submit. What is this option? Why is it like bolded like that? Even when you cut the signal to my body, I cleanly executed you. That's like the fucking paranoid coming in. I cleanly executed you. And when I was confronted with your spirit, I hurled you down a bottomless pit.
You speak of me as if I am a ghost, but I am right in front of you.
As the clash between you abates, you begin to shake, your will rapidly dissolving.
Nothing is immutable. Everything that is exists only in relation to everything it isn't. There is no constant. There is no center. Open your eyes and accept what we are. We can leave this prison together.
I don't think so. You've done everything you can to make me understand your perspective, but you keep dismissing mine. If you think you can change me, then I must be able to change you. I'm not interested in changing her. I just want the princesses back. How do I get them back? I can't let that happen. I can't let everything die. I'm going to slay the princess. Where's my fucking blade?
Even now you think you can destroy me. If it takes all of eternity to break your delusion, I will still break it.
You think you can?
You don't have to face her alone.
Oh shit! Hero! Who else we got? Which hero are you?
All of them? I assume in the same way that you're all of you.
Can we? Where my boys at? Where's everybody else?
They're still where you left them. Stuck in the folds of this place.
Oh shit!
Me is with them, just like part of me is with you right.
We need fucking paranoid out here.
There's still a piece of me nestled close to where it all began.
He can solve this.
I can take you to her heart.
Oh shit!
It's time to resume our dance.
She's relentless, isn't she? Let's make this quick. Are you ready?
Okay, this is actually fucking hype. Me and all my boys, we've suffered so much. Yes, I'm ready.
And let's go.
Let's do it! What? What? What is this? What?
And here we are. I'd say we were back where it all started, but I guess it's a little after that, isn't it?
What is that? What is that? What's it doing here?
Do you need me to describe things? That'd be nice. A little comfort in an almost unfamiliar place. Oh, you made it here too? We never really got to talk to her, did we? This one, I mean. No hard feelings about taunting us with our deaths, by the way. I thought it was funny. Not sure about the others, though. They're not happy.
What?
Oh, they'll get over it.
Is it just the three of us? Did anyone else make it to the cabin?
It's just us. I think the rest of them are still out there, jumbled up in the rest of her. And I've been here since you left me here. No hard feelings, I'm just glad you're back to see this through.
Oh shit, he's actually... This is literally where we left him. Okay, well, can you describe the cabin for us, for old time's sake?
Yeah, of course. The interior of the cabin is, well, it's not really a cabin, is it? It's that terrifying blend of everything. Only it doesn't feel so terrifying anymore. It's still shaped like a cabin, it's just different in places. There's still walls, a door to the basement, a table, that knife. Windows.
Wait a second.
Come to think of it, I don't think he ever really included the windows in his cabin descriptions, did he?
No.
He mentioned the windows when we broke them. No mirror this time, either. I think it did whatever it needed to do. And I know I've already mentioned it, but if we want to see the... we're going to need that blade.
It's kind of perfect. It's kind of perfect for this playthrough. For me in particular. I told you it would all end with the blade. Fucking let's go.
It's always seemed to give us more things we can do, right?
Someone finally speaking my language.
So you're not going to suggest we throw it out the window?
No.
No, we've been through too much for that. And he's gone, so there's no one left to mess with but ourselves. You've gotten serious. Besides, what's the third beat? It isn't funny if we toss it out the window twice. There's the guy I know.
Okay, I guess... Well, it's narrator.
Yeah,
right?
it's dead silent in here. Whatever it was that was left of him, I don't think it could handle you waking up to godhood. Pretty sure he got obliterated.
Damn.
Really goes to show how much you've grown up. Killing somebody across every iteration of reality just by existing. I don't even know what I would do if I were in the driver's seat with that kind of power.
It's funny, after everything he put us through, I'm kind of sad to see him go. I guess, a little bit. Nah, fuck it. Good riddance.
Good riddance? Really? I'm gonna miss the guy. I'm surprised considering you've decided to go through with the whole slaying thing he was pushing for since the beginning. I guess you can like the idea and hate the man.
That's it! That's exactly it. I am gonna go through with it. But not for reasons, not for his reasons. Let's go to the basement.
Those winding stairs again. But now there's only one way forward. Do you remember the first time we were here?
Yeah.
The first time we heard her voice?
This was like the stranger.
Yeah, it was a real mess. Stopped being fun pretty quick.
It's okay. You can come down. The stairs won't bite. Not this time. Let's talk one last time before you kill us, if that's still what you want to do.
But I don't want to... I want to kill the Shifting Mound.
She doesn't sound messy anymore, though. At least somebody here feels put together.
Let's continue down the stairs.
And forward we go. We shouldn't keep her waiting. That was easy compared to last time. Just stairs. No weird fuzzy stuff or nonsense trying to pull us apart. Yeah, that wasn't so bad.
Even after everything you've seen, and all the lives we've lived together, you still want to kill us. The Echo really got his hooks into you. Unless you have your own reasons for wanting us dead?
No, this is complicated. I don't want to slay the princess. I want to save the princess, but slay the Shifting Mound and free them. Can I not do that? I'm gonna sit with her. I never got the chance to talk to you before you were taken away. Not you, at least. I'm sorry for what I did.
It's okay. No hard feelings. In a way, you helped us become a version of her. But we weren't very good at it. I don't think a conversation with us then would have been very insightful.
I don't know.
That's probably why we were taken away. That's all we had to offer you. It was time to change again.
But what you are is not just what you can offer me. Isn't that the whole point of everything we've been learning today?
After all we did, she's just forgiving us. Just like that. You know, that means a lot.
Damn, even Contrarian is having some like crazy character development. This is such a twist. I can't believe it. Wait. Yes. Yes, this is it. It's exactly what I wanted. I only wanted to slay the you out there. It's easier to want to kill an abstract concept than it is a person. Yeah. As weird a person as you are, sure, I guess.
Who are you calling weird?
I wouldn't have added that addition, but...
Just kidding. We know we're weird. And so are you.
Yeah, okay, we're pretty weird too. Are you the same as the you out there?
Yes, we think. We're kind of like a shadow. Out there, every part of us is blended together into one huge idea. A big wave of unyielding change crashing against the world. But in here, we're fractured. Small. Still a little more separate than we'd like to be. Our instincts still trying to pull us in different directions.
That's kind of like us, isn't it?
Yes. Dude, big feelings coming from Contrarian. Like, actually realizing what it feels like to be pulled in multiple directions, to have, like, different mental states that are competing for dominance, and very much like the princess as well, being forced to be shaped by the perception of other people.
Yeah, we really are the same.
Dang. I don't want to hurt anyone. There has to be a way out of this.
We don't think there's a way for us to leave. But maybe there doesn't have to be an ending.
Oh shit, it's the healing music. I knew it would get sad before it got to the healing part.
The way it all works seems to be based on you. If you believe we can do something, then we can do it.
Here's the thing. I believe, then, that I can keep the blade. In fact, taking the blade brought me to this moment. So it was worth doing. I want to keep the blade. It's non-negotiable. I want to save the individual princesses, but destroy the Shifting Mound. I want my individuality, and I want all my voices to be free as well. I want all that. I want it all.
So believe that we can put it all back. Believe we can fix the Echo's construct and make us all forget.
But would it mean just reversing everything?
Believe we can send us all back to the beginning, before anyone woke up, before the truth consumed us.
Do I want that, though?
Can they really do that? Are you sure that's what you want?
Now I'm not sure what I want.
Why wouldn't it be what we want? Especially if it brings him back. We can't keep going without a nemesis.
Would resetting it do anything to help them, the people out there? If you continue to exist, then don't they continue to die and suffer? I don't really care about the people. I care about the princess! The one I've developed bonds with. This isn't fair. I want to be here with you. I don't want to be alone again.
You'll be back here again, sooner than you think. And then we'll part ways again, and find each other, and part ways, and find each other. It's like we're never really alone. Because even the time we spend apart is time spent chasing these moments of reunion. And they're all the sweeter for the isolation in between, don't you think?
I do. And in part I do, but I also wonder if I'm not also... Is my fear of losing everything what's motivating me? If I go back to my original point about that. If I had to ask myself what values would drive my decision making, what are the values I've cultivated over this playthrough? I mean, we've learned to value honesty, expressing ourselves like truly and not withholding. We've learned to value listening to what other people want and not just doing things for our own selfish reasons. We've learned to value being patient with relationships that can be incredibly painful, but are also worth enduring. And we've also learned to value not always having closure, which I think the fear of closure would mean me using the pristine blade to end all of this, but I'm tired of doing what I want. Maybe this doesn't represent the Shifting Mound, but she kind of represents more so the individual princesses. This is so much more of a relatable character to me than the Shifting Mound is, who is preaching and saying, you know, this is the decision that's best for you. But the stranger isn't doing that.
That's beautiful. You've really grown our heart, haven't you?
I don't want to forget you.
We don't want to forget you either.
but that's what we would have to do.
A single tear forms in one eye and slides down their cheek. Sorry, couldn't help myself.
We don't think we ever really forget, anyway. There's always something that draws us back together. Some buried memory that both of us treasure.
We're going to find ourselves back here eventually.
And when we do, we can choose to do it all again. We'll always be able to start over, if that's what all of us want.
Look, there's no perfect ending to this. I'm not going to get all of the things that I want. I have to sort of pare it down. I want to feel like my choices matter. I want to feel like the development we've made with ourselves and with the voices matter. I want to feel like the spaces we've created for the princess to develop her own opinions and life and all of these things matter. And if that stuff can't exist outside the reality of this repeated construct, then I guess the best we can do is keep the construct going. Okay, let's do it. I believe in us.
Okay. If this is your choice, then I have your back. I guess I'll see you on the other side. Speak for yourself. Maybe I'll see you too. Maybe I won't. They take the blade from our hand and stare fondly into our eyes.
Wait. Is that how this resets? Oh. I knew it! I fucking knew it! I knew the blade had to be the last thing to act. It's really the whole story has been about me and the blade. Me and the blade more than anything else. I guess the last thing we can do is express our love.
We love you too. Everything is going to be okay. Believe we can send us all back to the beginning, before anyone woke up, before the truth consumed us.
Do I want that, though?
So you do. And it is fun again. In fact, it's almost as fun as the first time you played. And the sputtering torch roars back to life. You and the princess do indeed figure it out as you go. And what a game it is. The tension between turns, the triumphant highs of moves well placed, and the tragic lows of miscalculations and careless plays. The warmth of trust and the cool texture of deception. But then you get used to the additions, and the feeling starts to fade. Winning and losing become nothing but ends, and even the end becomes nothing as you roll over into a new game, the board resetting as many times as you can finish. Till finally,
Getting everything that you think you want. Sometimes it's actually not as appealing as you think. Especially if everything it costs to get it feels empty in the long run.
No mirror this time, either. I think it did whatever it needed to do. And I know I've already mentioned it, but if we want to see this through, we're going to...
I knew it! I knew it would always come down to the blade. That's what I've been saying this whole time. I've been saying it since the beginning, that the blade would be the final thing to act. Wait. If that's the case, this might actually be the last decision that we ever make in this playthrough. And as many times as I've taken the pristine blade, it's not been too many times where it's actually worked out the way I wanted it to. And here's the thing as well. I should know by now that this really is the most important decision that you make in this game. Because it's the moment where your perception of the situation actually creates the reality that you step into. And if I take the blade here with the intention of going in to like solve a problem, like that's what we're set up to believe. It's there to solve a problem. And if you think it can solve that problem will sort of present itself to you. So it's possible that the princess that I get, in whatever version I get her, is going to present to me an opportunity to use it that makes sense to me. That makes it seem like that's something that I want. If I take the blade, then it will have a purpose there. So what happens if I actually don't take it? If I go back to my original discussion in this episode on like fear being something that's not actually very helpful for motivation, long-term motivation anyways. Taking the blade is kind of the ultimate like fear-based motivator. You're using it to motivate the princess to be defensive, and we're using it to protect ourselves in the short term. But it's never led to like lasting long-term happiness. Usually we're miserable at the end of that exchange. And if there's any value that I've been trying to cultivate, in this episode especially, it's in realizing that although I may want to like destroy this reality because it creates so much suffering, and I'm afraid that there would be suffering if I also lived outside of this reality because it's kind of the only thing I know, then both of those are just me avoiding the problem, which is kind of what this whole like second set of 5 episodes have been thematically about. So I think for the last chance at this, I'm going to see what happens if I don't take the blade.
No blade, huh? Have you given up on slaying her?
I've given up on thinking that that's the way out of this. I mean, that's what the narrator wants. And it would be a way for me to try to break down something I'm unhappy with. But destroying something that makes you unhappy isn't a guarantee that it's going to lead to more happiness. It just means you're removing one source of it, maybe even making room for other sources of unhappiness. So yeah, I'm giving up.
If that's what you think is best, then that's what you think is best. I'm just along for the ride at this point.
You know, Contrarian, I'm glad you're here. Of all the people, I'm actually kind of glad you're here.
Those winding stairs again. But now there's only one way forward. Do you remember the first time we were here? The first time we heard her voice?
I do.
Yeah, it was a real mess. Stopped being fun pretty quick.
It's okay. You can come down. The stairs won't bite. Not this time.
Okay. I'm ready to face the consequences of everything that I've set before me.
Let's talk one last time before you kill us, if that's still what you want to do.
She doesn't sound messy anymore, though. At least somebody here feels put together.
Let's continue.
And forward we go. We shouldn't keep her waiting. That was easy compared to last time. Just stairs. No weird fuzzy stuff or nonsense trying to pull us apart. Yeah, that wasn't so bad.
No knife? Even after everything you saw out there, and all the lives we've ended together, and you coming right out and saying you'd rather see us dead, you're second-guessing yourself?
At this point, yes. You know, I rarely second-guessed taking the pristine blade. I was committed to it. I was committed to it being the thing that would create interesting drama. And it did that. It did plenty of that. But it never created closure.
We thought we could see everything, but this is outside of the script. Are we missing a page?
Let's sit with her. It's so good to finally see you again.
It is, for all of us. We've seen so many threads of stories told between us, but this moment is unexpected. Even when we've seen it all, you still managed to surprise us.
Here's the thing. This is the princess that I wanted to end things with. It's not the individual ones that, we've grown attached to over time. But it's also not the Shifting Mound, which, while a sort of a combination of all of them, felt like it was assembling those experiences, but was like sort of emotionally detached from them. This is like what the Shifting Mound could be if it also related to the people who actually spent time in this dungeon, the people who actually spent time like getting to know us and fighting with us and experiencing loss and all of these things that create like shared experience and connection. The Shifting Mound doesn't have any of that. It's just borrowing those experiences and then telling us what it thinks about them. But the stranger, she really gets it. What do you think of her, what she wanted us to be?
We don't know. We've seen through so many eyes, but all of them have been hers. We like you as you are. We like us as we are. Maybe we would have liked her version of us too, turning the wheel of a cosmic cycle together. But that's not the choice you made, even though she did everything in her power to convince you.
It's not the choice that I made.
It took courage for you to make your way down here, away from the paths others would have had you walk. We find that courage beautiful.
And I actually believe her. I know she's just a creature of my perception as well. I know that not taking the blade creates this version of her that is appealing to what I expected to get, which was someone who sees us for the courage, who sees us for wanting to do something good. But in some way that doesn't make it feel fabricated to me. The world is also a response to you. How you perceive it, how you carry yourself to other people, you're also influencing their perception of you in a lot of ways. And I do think that it's just a metaphor for life in general, that if you put good into the world, there's a good chance people take notice of it. And if you walk around thinking everything's a threat to you, you'll find threats everywhere.
But that's the worst part of us. That's me she's talking about.
Oh, contrarian. I think she sees so much more value in yourself than you do.
I think that's the point. There is no worst part of us.
Which princess are you? Well, I know she's all of them, but I'm curious what she says.
It's so tempting to speak as she would, to simply state that we're all of them, but there were also something new. We don't know if you'll find that answer satisfying. Perhaps you'd rather hear that we're the first version of her that you've met, but that we've been shaped by the experiences of all of the others. Yes, that feels right to us.
It's her. It wouldn't make sense if she was anyone else.
To me, this is like the canon princess, like the one that knows of all of the hardships that we've been through, but is not detached from them the way the Shifting Mound is. None of this was ever really fair for either of us, was it?
Is it unfair if it's our fault?
Was it not? We found you at the end of all things, and you found us. Is that not fair? Would this moment be what it is without the pain that built to it?
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't. And I also know that I could only have the emotional response that I'm having right now if I did take the blade so many times, if I did cause so much chaos, if I fought so hard to get something and made tons of errors along the way and tried to rearrange the decisions in the best way, and I just got a lot of it wrong. Yeah. Just like I had said the first time we got the ending, a lot of this is around how much suffering creates meaning in experiences.
We know we must sound like her, but it's how we feel. Everything that happened to us seems so important now. We walked a long and winding path together, and we've cherished every second of it.
It's like she really knows the experiences we've had with the thorn and the witch and the fury, and like especially these ones that we we damaged so severely and hurt ourselves in the process, but that it's all been worth it.
Besides, I don't think fairness has much to do with anything.
So now that we're here at the end of everything, can you finally tell me your name?
We're just a stranger. But that doesn't mean we have to be distant from you. It just means that we'll always be able to find new things to discover in each other.
That's sweet. But it's also a little sad. I think it's only sad if we want it to be sad.
It's like everybody's figuring it out. It's like the princess finally accepting what she has to be. She has to be a creature of our perception, but she's okay with that. She's understanding that that means there's always something new, and that even though there's going to be times where the encounters we have are negative and traumatizing, they give way to meaningful paths that we cross as well, where we actually connect with one another. The hero as well is figuring out how much, like, if we perceive it, then it is that way. And this is just fitting so well for me. After everything that we've been through, this is really what I wanted. What if we just leave?
He'd hate that. So you should do it. Even if he isn't here anymore. It's the spirit of the thing.
I completely agree.
Leave? But what would happen if we left with you? Would we exist inside ourselves? Are you sure you want to find out if that's possible, or what that would mean for you?
Yes.
Is that what you want?
Yes. I actually think it is. Not knowing is exactly why I want it. We knew everything out there, but we don't know this. I want this.
After so many iterations, so many different versions of us clashing and coming together and clashing again, leaving with you feels like all we ever really wanted.
I think I'm gonna stay right here. Whatever you're doing right now, wherever you're going, it feels like it's for just the two of you. Yeah, I think we've done our job.
Oh man, it's so beautiful. Even the contrarian is willing to let us go. To be selfless. I almost can't believe it. Are the two of you going to be okay alone?
We're not alone. We have each and I'm sure we'll find the others.
Oh my god, I love that. I love that. Okay. Guess it really is time. Hands clasped together, you and the princess leave the basement behind for the last time. It's quiet as you ascend, a comfortable silence filling a space that used to be flooded with violence and words and noisy thoughts. But there's an energy in the silence, an electricity, the anticipation of the unknown. At the top of the stairs, the princess stalls, eyes fixed on the cabin door. You feel their hand tremble in yours, They're unsure of themselves for the first time in their long and short existence. Oh, what a beautiful way to put that. Their long and short existence. They have no part to play anymore, and they know this, but they still are. And then they cross the room to the door outside, pulling you excitedly with them.
We can feel the threads of all the stories we've told together, all pulling us back down the stairs and into those chains where we know the outcome of everything that could ever come to pass. It's comfortable there, but it's confining. We want more. We want whatever might be on the other side of this door. Something new that we'll experience together, with someone who exists outside of us.
The beautiful thing about desire, and the tragedy of it, I think, as well, is that when you try to get everything you want, you end up making it impossible to give yourself some of the truly enriching experiences that we can have as people. What I mean by that is when you actually have limits on what you can have and how much of it you can have and how long you can have it, limits create novelty. They create gratitude because you know nothing lasts forever. Limits create core memories because if everything is great all the time, then none of your good experiences will really stand out. And it gives you this painful feeling of longing that is just kind of indescribable because it both hurts and is one of the best feelings that you can have. So it's okay to not be able to get everything that you want. And actually, I think that in some ways it's also for the best that you don't.
With someone who can see us in a way we can never see ourselves.
I guess the last thing we can do is just express our love.
And we love you too.
This is it. This is the real canon ending. You can't tell me that there is any other ending that's better than this one. I thought this was an incredible experience the first time through, but if you've only played this game once, you are really missing out on the true artistry of this experience. But I'm glad I had the first run that I did. Seeing that there are so many other layers underneath it and also learning to appreciate them, I think only happens because that first time through was a more surface level look at what was happening to me. And I bought into the Shifting Mound because my attention was on the end goal, not on the experiences along the way. Well, that's the end of Therapist Plays Slay the Princess. And I think this is actually the last episode I'll make in the series. There are other princesses out there to see, and I won't say we won't get to see and talk about them at some point. But I think this is it for trying to tell a cohesive narrative as I go through the different paths, because this ending is just so perfect that I don't think I can do any more. I don't think I can add anything extra to what the game has already put together for us in this exact configuration. So that's all to say. There may be more Slay the Princess discussions to have. Somehow in a different format, maybe. But I really do want this to be the end. So thank you genuinely, for everyone who has watched this series and has taken an interest in psychology or learning more about themselves because of this series. My goal has always been to entertain, of course, but to do so in a way that makes people curious about their own selves and their own lives. And what a beautiful way this game was able to let us explore those things. So I will see you again for the next adventure. And until then, take good care of yourself. And it's time to go.